Welcome in, everyone. Take a deep breath in. Let your shoulders drop. Soften your heart and unclench your jaw. This is a space for curiosity, for honesty, and for healing. You don't have to agree with everything here. You don't have to have it all figured out. Only have to be willing to listen, to wonder, and to stay open. Let this be your invitation to explore your story, to examine what shaped you, and to make space for something new. This is not about answers. It's about deeper questions, softer hearts, and the kind of truth that liberates. I'm Christina Baker, and this is the Retreat Full Circle podcast. Season 1, Episode 5. You Are Not Alone, Rediscovering Your True Purpose. Over the past year and a half, we've witnessed something profound through our retreats and interactions with guests. Each person comes with their own uniqueness. Sleep patterns, eating habits, personal hygiene routines, food preferences, temperature comfort zones, age-related dynamics. The list goes on and on. These differences come from many places. Your environment, by accident, through genetics, maybe trauma, or simply by choice. At first, it can feel daunting to create a space where everyone feels comfortable. But here's what we've learned. When the energy settles and the walls start to come down, what we witness is a deep desire to feel accepted and affirmed. I recently saw this in the most unexpected way on one of the hottest days of the year. It was July in Florida, and it was record hot. As a native Floridian, I'm no stranger to our long summers and thick humidity, but this particular Sunday was stifling. We had scheduled a forest bathing session with our friends Lauren and Glenda at Mindful Wanderings at 10 a.m. These mindful sessions usually last a couple of hours, which meant we'd be finishing right when the heat starts to peak. I encouraged everyone to bring water, stay hydrated, and to listen to their bodies. Before we even began, I was already sweating. Among our group were several women I quietly worried about due to their age or health. Still, Lauren and Glenda gently guided us into this practice, inviting us to engage our senses, slow down, and write down whatever surfaced. We parted ways and wandered into the forest, each of us soaking in the sounds, smells, and quiet beauty around us. After about 20 minutes, we circled back beneath the shade of the trees where a soft breeze met us like a gift. 2 more rounds of prompts followed, each encouraging us deeper into stillness. When we finally came together, we shared what the forest had given us. In that circle sat retirees, veterans, therapists, a nurse, and a PR exec. We laughed, we cried, we listened, and not one person mentioned the heat. Why? Because for those 2 hours, we were fully present. The forest held us. The guided reflection quieted our minds. The summer heat, the sweat, the discomfort, all of it faded as we immersed ourselves in nature's healing. What remained was connection to ourselves, to each other, and to something greater. When it came time to share our revelations, the air was ripe with openness and affirmation. Deep listening replaced small talk. We saw each other fully, without filters or masks, and it was a rare, extraordinary moment in time. Moments like that remind me that when we are truly present and given space to breathe, the distractions fall away, and what's left is real, raw, and beautiful. Beneath it all is a deep shared desire to feel accepted and affirmed, and yet The fear of being the only one keeps so many from admitting how they really feel, even sometimes to themselves. This is especially true for women whose identities have shifted through circumstances such as retirement, becoming an empty nester, divorce, the death of a spouse, loss of a child, or the realization that they aren't living their true purpose. Often, their sense of self has been wrapped up in someone or something that no longer exists, leaving them lost, paralyzed, and convinced they're the only one in that experience. Here's the truth. You are not alone. This conversation is for every woman who feels unseen in her transition, every soul craving connection and affirmation. Let's talk about it, normalize it, and break the silent epidemic of isolation by sharing stories that remind us there is power in being vulnerable, and there is healing in being understood. As we peel back these layers of loneliness and identity shifts, there's something powerful waiting underneath. The call to return to your true purpose. Not what the world expects of you, not the roles you've played out of obligation or habit, but the deepest part of who you were created to be. I was recently giving a tour to a potential retreat host, and she said something that stopped me in my tracks. She looked me in the eye and said, "I am not interested in working with anyone who is not living their purpose." At first, it might sound harsh, but when she said it, I felt it in my gut. And without hesitation, I said, yes, that's it. I've said it many times before. I don't care what you do in this life. I care that you do it with passion. Whether you're the person cleaning out our septic tank or the leader of a retreat, I want you to show up in this world lit up by what you do. There's nothing more magnetic, nothing more healing than being around people who are alive with purpose. Because here's the thing, when you're passionate, it's contagious. It gives others permission to break free from their numbness, their autopilot, their fear of change. Passion stirs something deep inside of us. It's a reminder that life is meant to be lived fully awake. So many of the women we meet are standing right at that crossroads between who they've been and who they were created to be. They just need a spark, a nudge, a reminder that it's not too late. Your purpose isn't gone. It's simply buried under years of shoulds, expectations, and roles you've outgrown. And here's the good news. It's never too late to dig it back up. So how do you know if you're not living your purpose? Sometimes it's obvious, but it often creeps in slowly, disguised as it's just how life is. Here are a few signs. You feel restless or unfulfilled, even if everything looks fine on the outside. You've lost your excitement. The things that once lit you up now feel like chores. You catch yourself daydreaming about a different life, but fear or practicality keeps you stuck. You feel disconnected from yourself, unsure of what you want anymore because you've spent so long meeting everyone else's needs first. You numb out with busyness, screens, or distractions because sitting with the discomfort feels too heavy. If any of these resonate, it's not a sign that you're broken. It's a sign that your soul is whispering for something more. It's the quiet invitation to realign with who you were always meant to be. And here's the good news. These feelings are not the end. They're just the beginning. They're cracks in the surface where the light starts to shine through. When you feel restless, numb, or disconnected, it's your soul's way of saying, hey, there's more for you than this. In her new book, The Checklist to Ascension, Hilary Hepp beautifully describes how many of us have had our passions buried. Most of us grew up in systems that condition us not to listen to our hearts. We're taught to follow instructions, color inside the lines, sit still, and perform. After 12 years of falling in line, we're expected, at just 18 years old, to know exactly what we want to do for the rest of our lives. With barely any life experience, we're told to choose a career path, take on debt, and start building a future before we've even had a chance to discover who we are. Instead of seeing these feelings as failures, see them as invitations. They are the first step in peeling back the layers of expectation and rediscovering the real you, the one who existed before the titles, before the roles, before life got loud. Your purpose isn't something you have to chase. It's something you return to. It's already inside you, waiting to be remembered. And once you reconnect with it, everything shifts. Life starts to feel lighter, more aligned, and even the smallest moments become infused with meaning. At our retreats, we witness this transformation firsthand. Women arriving overwhelmed or uncertain, only to leave with a spark in their eyes, clarity in their hearts, and the courage to take the next step towards the life they were created for. Because you are not alone, and it's not too late. So if you're feeling lost, restless, or unsure of who you are now, take heart. This is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of a new chapter, one rooted in authenticity, passion, and purpose. I'd like to share a poem with you that speaks perfectly to this journey of rediscovering ourselves. If your mind is wandering, gently bring it back to focus on the words I'm about to read. As I began to love myself, I found that anguish and emotional suffering are only warning signs that I was living against my own truth. Today, I know this is authenticity. As I began to love myself, I understood how much it could offend somebody as I tried to force my desires on this person, even though I knew the time was not right and the person was not ready for it. And even though this person was me, today I call it respect. As I began to love myself, I stopped craving for a different life, and I could see that everything that surrounded me was inviting me to grow. Today, I call it maturity. As I began to love myself, I understood that at any circumstance, I am at the right place at the right time, and everything happens at exactly the right moment, so I could be calm. Today, I call it self-confidence. As I began to love myself, I quit stealing my own time, and I stopped designing huge projects for the future. Today, I only do what brings me joy and happiness, things I love to do and that make my heart cheer. And I do them in my own way and in my own rhythm. Today, I call it simplicity. As I began to love myself, I freed myself of anything that is no good for my health. Food, people, things, situations, and everything that drew me down and away from myself. At first, I called this attitude a healthy egoism. Today, I know it is love of oneself. As I began to love myself, I quit trying to always be right. And ever since, I was wrong less of the time. Today, I discovered that is modesty. As I began to love myself, I refused to go on living in the past and worrying about the future. Now, I only live for the moment where everything is happening. Today, I live each day, day by day, and I call it fulfillment. As I began to love myself, I recognized that my mind can disturb me and it can make me sick. But as I connected to my heart, my mind became a valuable ally. Today, I call this connection wisdom of the heart. We no longer need to fear arguments, confrontations, or any kind of problems with ourselves or others. Even the stars collide, and out of their crashing, new worlds are born. Today, I know that is life. Take a deep breath and let those words sink in. Which line spoke to you the loudest? Where did you feel a tug in your chest or a lump in your throat? Go back and listen again if needed. That poem was written by Charlie Chaplin, who read it aloud on his 70th birthday in 1959, almost 70 years ago, and it captures so much of what we've been talking about today. If you know who Charlie Chaplin is, then you know that this conversation is meant for you. If you don't know who he is, look him up and be inspired by the relevancy of his words. He started as a silent film star, but his words in this poem are beautifully expressed. These are places that are asking for your attention, the whispers of your heart reminding you of what's true, what's been buried, and what's ready to be reclaimed. I invite you to sit with this poem in a quiet moment. Journal about the words that stirred something in you. Ask yourself, where am I living against my own truth? What do I need to release in order to come home to myself? What would it feel like to live with simplicity, authenticity, and love for myself? Remember, you are not alone in this journey. Every step you take towards loving yourself more fully is a step towards rediscovering your purpose and living the life you were created for. I encourage you to save this podcast. You may need to refer to it again. To my younger listeners, I ask that you send this to someone who feels like they're too old to find their passion. They may seem just sad or bored to you, but maybe they are just so buried underneath what they should do and who they should be, they're paralyzed. And for my more experienced listeners, find a young woman who seems scattered, overwhelmed, or lost. Share this with her, and maybe we can spark something. Until next time, may you find the courage to listen deeply, love yourself fiercely, and remember, even in life's collisions, something new and beautiful is being born.